Hello and welcome back to another amazing episode of the Speak Life podcast. We are so excited to have you with us for another wonderful week. I am your host, Minister Phoenix, alongside this beautiful and amazing woman that I get to call my co-host.
Yes, the one and only Sheikah. All right, welcome to the Speak Life podcast. This is your girl, the one and only Sheikah. We're so happy you're here with us today.
We are excited to have you with us, and hopefully you missed us last week. If you didn't, you should have.
Last week was a crazy
Oh my
week.
gosh, between
Crazy.
school and life, I don't know. It's just getting a little busy. A lot of busy.
A lot of busy.
A whole lot of busy. But we still here to drop content. So if this is your first time with us on the podcast, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure that you comment to be a part of the conversation.
Yes, please.
Stop playing. Comment, and we respond. We do respond with our thoughts. So, and that's how we get our continuing the conversation episodes too, when people still want to talk about it. So you have something you still want to talk about, let us know and we'll talk about it. We ain't afraid to talk about it. All right, if you're part of our faithful listeners that tune in week after week, you know we appreciate you. You know what I'm going to say. I love y'all.
We love y'all.
Appreciate y'all.
We appreciate y'all.
For real. Not even jokingly. I really do
seriously.
appreciate y'all for always rocking with us and tuning in and really giving us the feedback of how the episodes are going. So we're grateful. We are truly grateful to be able to have this platform to really just reach out and touch people. Reach out and touch somebody.
Yes.
All right. Now, this week, we're gonna talk about something.
But before we get in it, don't forget the book, When Three Roads Collide,
yes,
a memoir of God's grace. Don't forget, you could get it on Amazon.
You can get it anywhere
from us,
online where
Target
they sell books.
Bookstore,
Barnes and
Kindle,
Noble.
Barnes and Noble, Google Books, Goodreads.
I could go all day with all the places you could find it.
Everywhere. This book is everywhere.
You can get it off of our website.
You just have to Google it. Just Google. And it just, yeah.
It's a really good book. I can't even stress how good of a book it is. It really is a really good book. It's an easy read, and it will inspire you and really help you to know that you can make it.
You can make it.
You can go on.
You can make it.
You can. Thank you. I think I can go on now.
Yes.
All right. So this week, alongside some of the things that we've been talking about, we really want to talk about this topic. What are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for?
What are you waiting
What are you waiting for?
We've talked about purpose. We've talked about motivation. But now the real question comes up.
What are you waiting for?
What you waiting for? All right. Now, to start off the conversation, I want to ask you a question, ma'am, my co-host across the table. Do you still have visions and dreams of things that you still want to accomplish?
Oh, yes. Absolutely. A whole lot.
A whole lot?
A whole lot. I still have a lot that sometimes I'm like, it's like my mind just be going. It's like it just can't slow down. I don't know. I just don't get it. But there's just so much that's going on up here that it's like, I want to do this, I want to do that, it's like, when? How?
Ooh.
Like, how are you going to find the time to do all these things?
Have you gotten started in going after those things?
I think, yes. I think the first step that I've taken is to go back to school.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that. So, and I'm doing that still. I'm almost done.
Me too.
Yes, Lord.
We're going to be celebrating the end of this year.
Yes,
Please know
are.
when we're going to have one episode where we just come on and
just to celebrate
good times. Come on.
Woo!
We are going to be celebrating for real at the end of this year.
Going back to school was one of them.
Okay.
And I think the podcast that we're doing is like also another step into something that, because I feel like after doing the podcast, it kind of opened me up a lot more.
Podcast just changed my whole way of looking at things.
Well, I just don't like to talk. I just don't like to.
She don't like to talk.
Do things.
She don't like to talk.
But after doing the podcast, I'm like, you know what? And I need to talk. Like, if I'm going to be a counselor, like, it can't just be sitting there. I mean, most of my job is going to be sitting there listening.
You are going to be sitting there.
But, let the silence do the work. um, but I do need to contribute and say stuff too. So I think this is gonna be um the podcast actually is helping me to move forward into the next step.
Nice. Nice. Now, I know for me, I got so much stuff that, in my opinion, I put on hold. I got a lot of stuff that I'm like, I want to do this and I want to do this. And I still got this talent that I need to do. And I need to use this and I need to do that and I need to do that. And then it's like, there's so many different pieces to it. And I feel like with school, I kind of put a lot of things on hold to be able to try to knock this out the way, to be able to not have to think about it. And I think that really, stopped me from really going forward with a lot of the things that I really want to do. And then when it comes to this next topic, like, I know we all got dreams. We all got things that we want to obtain. We all got things that we want to do. We all got things that we're trying to get after and get to and grab a hold of. And y'all all got y'all dreams and aspirations and goals that y'all want to do. And this is the $100 million question. What is stopping you from grabbing hold of that thing that you try and get?
I think now it's really like, how do I get it? Where do I go? The resources, like, how do I find all the resources that I need to get this thing going? Like, I have the vision, I know what I want to do, but how do I get it going? And I think that's one of the biggest thing, not knowing how. Another thing is that the fact that I'm in school, that really, you just talked about that really put a damper on, or put a hold on what it is that I need to do, or what it is that I'm trying to do, because school alone in itself is a lot of work. So it's one of those things where I just need to get that out of the way, and also try to find the resources that I need to start, or just someone's, I don't know, point me in the right direction, like something just to point me in the right direction, so that I know how to get it. And there's a lot of resources out there, but how do you actually put your hand on it? And that's the thing. So that's what really stopping me. But I feel like sometimes God put people in your life where you don't know how much they have inside of them, and you don't know how much of a help they could be to you. But sometimes you don't talk about what you're trying to do, so you don't know.
That's true.
But because it's like, like we talk about, like, sometimes you just gotta move in silence.
Yes.
But then that's like another topic for itself. Like, how do you move in silence and still be able to accomplish? Because you need the help. So it's like, when you need the help and you're trying to move in silence, like, you don't have all the resources at hand for you to do what you need to do. So you're going to have to, like, lean on some people, but then you're trying to move in silence. So it's like,
with that one, honestly, I look at that, and for me, one of the biggest hurdles that I have at this moment is school, because school is literally kicking my bottom. School is showing me who boss is, and it clearly isn't me when it comes to school. I'm gonna be honest.
Well, you think it's honest. Not you.
It don't feel like
you gotta
it's
let
me.
School know who is the boss.
I don't know. School's like, you think you the boss, but I'm gonna show you what's what. And school, it's been a fight. I'm not gonna lie. Me and school have been brawling, and there's a lot of time where I have not been coming out on top. But I feel like after this year, once I get it all out the way, although there'll be other challenges that will come up, I think the freedom of being out of school will really release me to be able to do so much more of pushing in the different directions that I want to get into. Now, one of the things that you said that I think what was important is like we talked about how important it is moving in silence, because it's not everyone that wants to see you succeed. It's not everyone that wants to see you accomplish the things that you're trying to accomplish. But I do believe that God will give you discernment on who you can share your heart with.
I believe that. Mm-hmm.
And that is really important, because God will let you know who you have around you that you can actually trust with certain things. It's not everyone, and I'm not going to say it's everyone that you can trust with everything. You can't have like everyone have access to you, because like I said, like it's only a certain amount of people who really want to see you doing well, and some people, once they have that spirit of imagined competition, it's like you can't release certain things to them. But I do believe that God gives you discernment on the people you have around you, so that you're able to really use someone and tap into someone and their resources and that they have. Now, with that, one of the things that I learned, especially when we were like starting the podcast and starting the book and things like that, one of the things that, was some really good advice is like, start looking at people who are doing something similar to what you're doing. Like if, for example, you want to start a foundation. Yeah,
that was from the mentoring episode, right?
Yeah, start looking at some of the people who started foundations and just reach out to them. You'd be surprised. Like, honestly, you would be surprised how many people just love to share information when you just reach out to them. Like if you have LinkedIn and you see some nice people who are doing some stuff on LinkedIn, you'd be surprised how a LinkedIn message can turn into a connection that you didn't even imagine. If you have some of your friends, like let's say if you want to get in real estate and you got some successful friends who are doing real estate, like, and you're trying to get in there, just talk to them. Like, what are the first steps? What do I need to do? How do I get started? And like I said, there are people.
But you know what? You're right, because I don't cut you. You're right. But like, because we've seen that with even our business, trying to put our business, get it off the ground, where we reach out to one person and they told us like what we need to do, what we, and step by step. And that's how we were able to, shout out to my cousin, Kino.
Big shout out to Kino.
Mullins Group Incorporation. I think that's his business name.
That man does so much stuff. I don't even know what he's doing right now. He is. I'm sure he's gonna be doing like multi-billion-dollar stuff.
So just him just telling us like, okay, X, Y, and Z. This is what you do. This is how you started. Now all you have to look up is Pritchard Media Production, and we're there. We out there. So it's like this is how you start a business. And it's legit, so it's like, it's not about, we're just like, oh, well, yeah, this is our business name, but we're legit. We're official.
We are.
Pritchard Media.
That's why we tell you, like, at the end of those episodes, where it's like, for everything that we're doing, go on 3roadscollide.com and you will see. Yes. And the minute you click on that, it's like, boom. Pritchard Media Production.
Yes.
Because that's what it is.
And even on, just put it in Google.
You can Google us.
Pritchard Media Production. We're trying to build a legacy, not just for us, but for our children.
Exactly.
And the Pritchard name, y'all are going to see it on Billboard, It's going to be amazing. All right, that's enough.
Stop.
But,
Stop.
Sorry, I cut you. Yes, sorry.
You made me lose my whole train of thought. But like I was saying, don't be afraid to reach out to people who are doing something similar to what you're doing. If you want to start a podcast, look at some successful podcasts. What are they doing? Listen to them. See what they do. See how they get funds for like sponsorships and things like that.
But you got to make it your own too. Like
that is true.
Don't be a copycat.
Yes, it can't be a carbon copy, but you can
make it your own.
You can take gems from what people are doing and figure out how you can make it work for you. And that was really what I meant by that, is like to try to see, what are some of the platforms that they're taking advantage of? What are some of the things that they're doing? What are some of the sponsors that they may have? You can reach out to certain companies and be like, okay, well, what would I need to get a sponsorship? Because like I said, there's ways for you to build the things that you're doing, but you just have to figure out your first steps. Like you have to have some sort of plan.
Yeah.
In order to really get there,
And the time is everything. You have to, like us, we don't have
time. The time is
there's so much
challenging at this very point in time.
Yes.
it's challenging, but I really, like I said, at the end of this year, at the end, I always say the year because I'd be running off of school years rather than calendar years. So people may be like,
end of the school year.
People may be thinking like, oh, 2022, something's popping off. Yes, 2022, something is popping off, but I'm not talking about January 1st, 2022. I'm talking about like the end of like spring semester 2022, like June, like around then, going into summer of 2022, it's going down. It's going down.
School is over.
School's gonna be over, and I have so much stuff that we are just gonna be hitting the ground hard running with, that I'm just excited to just really see how everything is gonna pan out. But like for me, like for us, time right now is crazy.
Yes. So you have to have the time to put into whatever you're trying to do, because if you're trying to do it and you don't have the time,
it's gonna be useless.
Yeah, you can't be inconsistent.
And there it is, boom. And that brings me to my next piece. You do want to have time, but you also want to have that commitment, because there is, oh my gosh, you people, like if you start something, people are gonna start looking for it. And if you're not consistent with it, they're gonna be like, all right, yeah, I'm with you, then I'm like, but hold on, they stopped. And then they're gonna come back like 3 weeks later and be like, oh, but yeah, and you gotta keep at it. And one of the things that I've learned in just doing the podcast, for example, is like you can start something and you don't really understand how many people you're reaching with the things that you're doing. Yep. And I think that is one of the big pieces of why it's important for us to exercise our gifts and our talents. There are a load of people who are dependent on you to actually do that. Like there are, like when you start counseling, you're gonna be able to see how many people you touch, and it's gonna be like, boom, those people were meant for you to touch. If you're starting a business, the services that you may give people and the things that you may produce, that may be something that's going to bless someone's life in a way that you can't even begin to imagine.
You want to hear something funny?
Touch it.
So I'm doing, I don't want to give too much information, but, even in my counseling session that I've been doing, I have one student who, they're moving away. The family is packing up, moving away. And I'm talking to this student in my session, and she's like, Miss Pritchard, like, I wish you could come with me.
I'll be like, where we going?
Well, she already told, I'm not going to say where she's going, but she already told me where she's going. And I'm just like, wow, I must be doing something great. She want me to come with her.
Is it somewhere warm? Because that could be up for possibility.
No, it's not.
Then we ain't going.
But that was like so, I don't know what the word I'm trying to find, but that was like really inspiring and just like motivating.
I think inspiring was the word that you were looking for.
Motivating, because it's like to see a student saying, wow, you have such a great impact on me that I want you to come with me. How am I gonna make it when I move away without you? And that's what the student was saying. Because we was talking about school and different things, and how I don't want to say he, she, or whatever, but how they were gonna perform when they actually moved to their new school. And the student was like, "How am I gonna make it without you?"
See, and those are those moments that, like, it's true.
And I'm like, you can make it without me. God will provide someone that's going to help you there. So
and I think that's like one thing that I'm really big on. And when God gives you the insight and the vision to go and start something, I think one of the biggest things is to just get started. And you say that a lot, it's like you just get started.
Just get started.
Because I really do feel like
that's how this book come to be. We just get started.
Just got started. It was crazy because off topic, but when we started the book, it's like we paid for the book, we paid for the publishing, we paid for all this stuff, and we ain't even have an idea for a book.
We're like, how are we gonna start it?
Oh gosh,
how are we gonna? We pay for it. We
gonna write a book.
We gotta do it. We already paid the money.
We paid the money. We had the editing. We had the sessions. We had the deadline. We ain't have no book though. We ain't even have a storyline. There was nothing.
They were like, they met with us. They're like, so what have you guys?
Yeah,
done so far?
I remember them telling us like, yeah, you need to have something down and turned in by this day. And I'm looking at the calendar like, that's not a lot of time.
But then the pandemic happened.
Shout out to the pandemic. I be saying that a lot, and I understand that there's mixed emotions about the pandemic. A lot of people lost some loved ones and lost some jobs and things like that. But I seen how God was able to bless us with the pandemic. And I always say the pandemic instead of the pandemic. And I know I say that. You ain't got to wonder why I say it. It's just how I say it. Shout out to the pandemic. Yeah. So it afforded us the one thing that we really needed the most to be able to knock some things out, and that was time. So, all right. So back to that. Standing in the way of you getting started. What's standing in the way of you getting started?
What's standing in the way?
Like, for real, think about that for a minute. What's hindering you from getting started on what it is that you want to accomplish? If it's time, that's the only excuse that you have. If it's resources, I don't want to hear it. Get started.
But you know what? Sorry.
Stop putting something together.
I'm always cutting you off.
It's okay. You can cut me off. Stop putting something together to start figuring out how you're gonna get that and get that moving. Yeah, get that moving. You cut me off. What you have to say? Tell me what you got to say.
So no, I was gonna. Do I remember what I was gonna say?
Yes.
I was gonna say that sometimes people allow fear. To stop them.
I was gonna say that before I started my rant. Fear is serious.
People allow fear to stop them, because I look at myself and I feel like I could have gotten further. I could have been further in everything, like in my career, further along in my career, further along in a lot of things. But because of fear, I allowed that to stop me. And you know what? The God that we serve is an amazing God. You want me to tell you why?
Tell me why.
Let me tell you why.
Tell me why. Tell me why.
So the reason why I'm saying this is because before the pandemic happened, I was like, God, I don't know. How am I going to go into this field? How am I going to do all of these things? Like, that fear was just there, like sitting on my shoulder, like, how you going to do it? Yeah. Nope. You're not going to do it.
You too scary
and
for
I'm
this.
sitting here like,
you
God,
ain't got it in
how?
you.
Like, speaking in front of people, oh gosh, I get like so timid. And I'm like, my gosh, like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And then God just put it in our spirit where do the podcast.
God put it in your spirit to do the podcast. Yo, I can't take no credit for this one. This was all you.
Because I'm like,
this was
God,
all you.
I'm like, God, how am I going to get where? And God was like, and honestly, it just happened in a way where, you ever be like trying to go to sleep and God is just flushing your mind with things, and you're like, okay, and you're like, wait, I gotta get up and start writing some things down.
I've had that happen.
And it's like, because if you don't write it down,
gone.
You wake up, you're like,
gone.
Whoa,
it's
it's
like,
gone.
Was I dreaming? Was that real? It's gone.
And that's how the book comes to play too. Like, it's like God just put these things, and then God gives you confirmation as you're going places, as you're talking, as you're doing things. God just keeps showing you confirmation or giving you confirmation as to why you should. And it's like, and just always hearing people say, like, even friends, like,
yo, you should write.
You should do this,
or
why don't you guys go on a platform, like you and your husband? That would be awesome and stuff like that. And I'm just like, but then you'll hear people say stuff, but you don't share your vision with people, and you're like,
I think God is talking to me.
God is like really talking, so it's like, so once that was like just on me, I'm like, you know what, babe, why don't we do this and let's see. And then guess what? We already had all the equipment, not all, but most of the necessary equipment that we would need for it. We already had it. Didn't even know.
Didn't even know.
So it's like, so with the podcast, it allows me to be able to just walk into what it is that God is trying to get me to do.
Look at God.
And I'm like, you know what, God is a funny God, because like He will.
I always say He has a funny sense of humor.
And it's like, wow, because being a counselor is not the only thing that God is like preparing me for.
That is true.
So it's like, fear is not the thing that's stopping me, anymore. It's like, God is just like, okay, now I'm showing you all the things. How are you going to do it?
And I think fear is definitely huge, that hinders people from even thinking about doing something that they have on their heart to do. Because it's like, what if I fail? Well, what if you fail? You may fail. That may happen. But what if you succeed? Like, if the worst thing you have to worry about is failure, then you really ain't got nothing to worry about. Because if you don't do it, you get the same result as if you fail.
You never know, You
get the same exact result. If I try and I fail, I'm no better off than when I started. It's like I'm no worse off, because if I didn't do it, I'd be in the same place.
But you also know what stops people a lot of times too? People go into things thinking that overnight they're going to become successful. And I look at the podcast and I'm like, honestly, going to the podcast, when we actually sat down and we talked about it, it wasn't a matter of like, oh, we're trying to get 1 million subscribers, or we're trying to it wasn't about that. It was about like, God, if it's even 1 or 2 people we're able to reach, we're walking into our calling. We're doing something for you. Because so many people don't have that platform. They don't have that outlet. They don't have that way of people, like, what should I say? Simple people then. Like, I don't look at myself as like too important.
I got what you mean. Like, people down to earth. People who are just like regular.
I don't turn up my nose on people. I know where I'm coming from. So when God put me and kind of give me a little platform, I don't all of a sudden think I'm like dignified or I made it, so I can't hang with you anymore because I've done come up. Like, no, we are still the same people that we're always like. We're still here. Like, so I feel like God gave us this platform where we're just gonna touch people, even the little ones. Like, and I think it's different when you're like just always amongst believers. The fact that we're like the jobs that we're in, we're amongst like,
we see some stuff.
I'll
just say that.
And we see students who are really struggling. Students who we looked like when we were back in school. So, or at their age, So for us, I look at myself and I'm like, you know what? It's just because of God's grace. It's nothing that I have done. It's nothing that my parents have done. But and when I say that, I don't mean like, they didn't instill anything in me. But at the same time, it's like where I am today, where you are today, it's only God. Yes. Because if God did not intervene, we wouldn't be where we are right now.
I know where I would be.
I see people and I'm like, this platform that we have is, some people may not understand it because it's not for them. They may not understand it, but we're here for people who don't feel like they have already arrived.
The ones who are just actually getting there, they just pulled up. They ain't arrived yet. They pulling up.
And I want to stay here. I don't want to ever feel like I've arrived, because the same God that bring us up, He can just tear us right down.
God will kick that chair from under you.
There's a certain level of humility that we have to still hold, even when God done do some things in and through us.
Even if we end up with like millions of views on YouTube.
Yes,
but that's not that same heart and mindset.
That's not the driving force. That's not the end goal. That's not what we're striving for. We're just like, Lord, whoever we can meet,
if we can touch them, let us touch them.
Let us touch them. But it's not about, we're not trying to,
One of the dopest things that I heard when we were starting the podcast, I remember listening to Kevin on stage and he was talking about this. He's like, people see where he is now, but they don't know about any of his earlier content where there was like
how long it took.
No one there. My man said, you want to start a podcast? He's like, you need to be prepared to drop 100 episodes. He's like, and just that no one's ever going to listen to.
No views.
He's like that no one is ever going to listen to. He's like, and when you do that, still keep going.
Yeah.
He's like, because it's through that consistency that people will start to like see. And there's like a lot of artists, even some of the artists that we listen to, we see like gospel artists like Travis Green. And like when I think the major album where Travis Green blew up was like Intentional. He's intentional. But a lot of people don't know he had like 4 albums before that.
Yeah.
No one was bumping Travis like that. They half of y'all didn't even know who Travis Green was. My man had like 4 albums before that. So it's like you gotta stay where you are in that gifting. You gotta just keep pushing.
Stay consistent.
When people are watching, keep pushing. When people aren't watching, keep pushing.
Don't get
When
discouraged.
people know who you are, keep pushing. Even when they don't,
you,
keep pushing, because it's like that gift. Eventually, your gift will make room for you. You know, and you don't want to get discouraged looking and comparing what other people are, and for people who's been in it for like 10, 12 years and how far they've gotten, and you just starting out and thinking like, well, they got this and I got, but you don't know what it took for them to get there. You wasn't there in the back rooms when they was sitting there trying to figure out how they was going to get started, what they were going to do. You weren't there when they was pouring the money, trying to find the finances to be able to do the things that they were going to do. So it's like, you just got to stay in your lane and really just keep pushing to what you're trying to get to. You know, and I think, our time is running out. So that means we more towards the end, but with some wrap up, we want to give some wrap up advice, you know, for she doesn't supposed to do that. That's supposed to be the alarm to let us know that we need to be wrapping up. She doesn't supposed to do that, ladies and gentlemen. But with this piece, we want to really just drop just something to our viewers, our listeners. You know, if they're stalling, they have the vision, they know some things that they want to do, but they're kind of stuck and they don't really know what to do, you know, and they're trying to figure out what am I waiting for, you know. Then they're like, all right, just give me some advice to help me out in this point where I'm just kind of like sitting here with this idea and I don't know what to do next.
Honestly, give it to God. I remember even with the book, we did a whole bunch of praying because we're like, God, we don't even know how to start it. And Minister Phoenix over here is like, just write. And I'm like,
yep. Literally,
the format,
I'm like
how should I format it?
Start writing about your life.
Don't worry about the format. Just start writing.
Just
and
start writing.
I'm like, where should I start from? He's like, just start writing. You know, so he's like, just start writing. And I'm like, okay. So I just start writing. But it was like, I got so emotional. I was praying. I was like, Lord, I don't even know. You told us we need to write this book, but I don't know how to write. I don't know how to start it. And I just really prayed and was like, and when I started writing, it's like everything just started flowing and flowing and flowing. So just give it to God, whatever it is. Don't go and jump into anything unless you pray about it.
Yes. Because
we talked about even how the podcast come about, our business, the name, everything, like, and we actually changed our business name.
Yes, we did.
Because it was one thing before, and then we decided, we prayed about it, and God gave us confirmation as to why we should change the name, and we changed the name to what it is now. And this was even, you know, like after we paid for it. So sometimes like you'll try to do things, and then God is like,
switch it up.
Like, no,
you gotta switch it up. You do.
And you know, we had to do that, but like, just bring it to God first. Talk to God about it, what it is that you want to do. And that's where this is the stage that I'm in right now, is to like, God, I'm giving everything that I'm trying to do to you. Show me, open up the doors. And God already showed me a few things, but now it's like, you don't have the time. So it's a timing. The timing is everything.
I think so. I think the timing is a huge piece
it is.
Yeah.
Like now, I just gotta wait, because if I should start whatever it is that I want to do right now, it will not be successful because I don't have the time.
Yeah.
And God is saying it is not the right time right now, because you cannot do it right now.
There's no way you can maintain it.
There's no way you can maintain it.
No way you can maintain it.
So I just have to sit back. Doesn't matter how much my skin is itching, like, oh, you got to get it done. Like, you need to. My brain is like, oh, you wrote it down. What are you going to do?
What are you
like,
going to do?
What are you waiting for? God is like, not yet.
Yeah.
It's not time. So you just have to pray about it, wait. And when I say wait, I'm not saying to wait until eternity now. Like, just wait until God give you that go ahead, and make sure that once you start, you're not going to stop.
Yeah, that consistency.
Doesn't matter how
is
hard
huge.
it gets. Like, be consistent with whatever it is that you're trying to get to.
That consistency piece is huge. One thing that I would say along those same lines, you know, timing is definitely important. And one thing that I would encourage you in is don't be afraid to have to start over with things.
Cause we had to.
Because sometimes like you'll think that, all right, just because I started this is gonna be the final stage of it, and it's like sometimes God will be like, you started it, but I want to change it. And I think for me that was one thing that, like with the music, I was like, I want to do music. Get the mic. All right, we got the mic. We got the interface. We got all these things, and God's like, hold up on the music real quick.
We're gonna use it for.
I need you to start this podcast, and I was like, but I'm trying to drop these bars. And God's like, yeah, you're going to be dropping these topics. So the music had to go on the back burner. It's not something that I don't plan on doing, but it's like you said, the timing and sometimes the plan switches. Sometimes, you may start off one way and God will just curb you to another way in a different direction to help you to be successful somewhere else. So even when you have your vision and even when you have what you're planning on doing, leave that room for God to be able to move in whatever you're doing, because I think that's important, because it's like through those different things, he's able to lead you to areas where, one, people will need you and you'll be more successful than the area that you're just starting off with on your own. So definitely leave that space for God to do what he does and whatever it is that you're doing. Don't be afraid to have to switch it up. Don't be afraid of failure. Failure happens. Failure means at least you're trying. At least you want better for yourself and you're trying to make things happen. People fail all the time, but that's why, like, and I said this before, you have plan A, plan B, plan C, all the way down to plan Z and double Z and triple Z, but as long as you keeping God in there to guide you through it, no matter which route you go, no matter what plan you're on, if you keep it in his will, he'll be able to move it into something. So I think that's all I got.
Yeah, that was good.
That was an interesting episode.
Yes.
All right, now we love y'all. I'm not gonna stress like how much we love y'all.
Thank you for listening to us.
I know y'all keep tuning in. We appreciate y'all. Remember, Death and Life is in the power of your tongue, so make sure you speak life. We hope you have an amazing week. Don't forget to check out the book. Don't forget to go on the website, 3roadscollide.com.
It has everything that we're doing so far.
More will definitely be on there. And don't forget, you can listen to the podcast anywhere that you can find digital podcast platforms. Yes. iTunes, Google Podcasts. There's like 7 other ones. I'm not naming them all, but go check out the podcast. We love y'all. Have an amazing week.
Have an amazing
and God
week.
Bless
God bless you.